Are broadcasting. Aloha, patrons and listeners. This is Stuart Yoshida, host of the OokTown Podcast, where we talk about all things ukulele and much more. We go beyond just the bounds of ukulele. I've got a new guest, always great, and I will introduce him. You could probably see him already down in those of you on YouTube, which is a new thing for us. We've just started in the past 5 or 6 shows. We started broadcasting live on YouTube, and I was gonna mention this. So when we start talking about things that are visual, one of the disciplines we need to do is to actually describe it too, because a lot of people listen to this on audio, and that's something new. And I found myself, if I review this, if I listen to some of the podcasts, I realize, oh, I was talking about something and I didn't really describe it. I was just showing it on the screen. If we can remember, let's try and do that. Other than that, let's just get going, jump into a whole bunch of shout outs. I want to first send a shout out to Cynthia, Michelle, and Jody. It's great to meet you in person at Wonderstruck. And in fact, I'm going to introduce another guest, new guest, but I met him at Wonderstruck. It was all good. What a great class experience that was put on by Daniel Anderson and I say Victor and Penny,
Aaron and Jeff.
Aaron and Jeff. Yeah. See, I got to do something about that. Then want to give a shout out to Ukulele Rob and the St. John's Second Saturday Ukulele Gathering. Mahalo for mentioning the OokTown Podcast at your gathering, and I say this to people. I should say it more often, that if you mention the podcast at your ukulele gathering, I will definitely mention you on the show. So please do that. I want to give a big shout out also to Rose from Down Under for starting Ukulele Highway Podcast. Woohoo! We got another ukulele podcast online. Yeah. And I will put her show in a link. Congratulations, Rose, on starting your ukulele podcast. It's the most difficult part, I will say, is just doing it, no matter what, for the first 3 or 4 or 5. It takes a while, and it's not like, you're not necessarily going to have instant success. If you call the OokTown Podcast a success, I don't know. We started off and we were, I think we only had 3 listeners for probably the first year or something. Just you, me, and whoever the guest was.
Exactly.
And then,
but there's nobody I love listening to more than myself. So
nice.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. All right, and then going on here, continuing on my shout outs, Dave from ukulelego.com. He listens to us on his commute. All right, on Dave. Thanks so much for writing in and listening. And then the Plymouth Ukulele Group, which we did a performance a couple weeks ago, on a Friday at the opening for the Live Aloha museum display. They did it on Hawaii, and we opened up for the people there. Or we were one of the performers there, and it was fantastic. They did a great job. We had Kani Kapila with someone doing hula, and we had Tony Fulcroy doing steel guitar. I stole him. I said, Tony, stick around, and he did, and he played on one of the songs. It was fantastic. So, and getting back to the Wonderstruck, I met someone there. I was really pleased, and I was like, hey, he looks familiar. And then he said to me, hey, I'm Mike Hind. And so I want to bring on Mike Hind.
Hey.
Mike is a performer. He's a patron of the show. He's from Bermuda.
I am indeed.
Which is interesting. I read up, when you said you were from Bermuda, I didn't know much about it, so I looked it up on Wikipedia, but you can tell us more about it. But I guess is it still a British territory?
Yes, we're a British overseas territory.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm officially British. I've got a red passport. I can live and work, well, right now all over Europe, but possibly in a couple of months.
Yeah.
Just in
Possibly
England.
not with Brexit. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I sound American, but I'm actually British.
It is very confusing because I thought you were British, and yes, you do sound American. How'd you get your American accent?
Well, I had not a broad Bermudian accent, but I had a Bermudian accent when I was 21, and I got a job in a nightclub in Bermuda, and they eventually had me running the karaoke bar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this was 1991, and when I would announce with my Bermudian accent, now we got Steve and Joanne coming up to see my way, people would go, I don't know what you just said.
Really?
So I had to sort of
Americans? Is that why?
Yeah, I sort of had to Americanize my accent, and it just sort of never went away.
Oh, wow. That is so interesting. Hey, I would have understood you. So I like that accent. Is that kind of like a Jamaican accent? Also, kind of a.
It's not as broad. Bermudian accent. Well, it depends on where you're from. We're only 21 square miles, but we do have very distinct accents from different locations on the island.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's all sort of where you speak from. Some people talk back here, and some people talk in the front of the mouth, and it's kind of interesting. But someone described it to me once, who does all that discovering accents and stuff, that it's the Cajun accent, but if you take out the French and make it English, and you take out the Southern and make it Caribbean. And that's how you get it. I was like, that's actually more confusing than trying
but
to
you
describe
kind
it
of
another way.
that.
Yeah.
It's nice.
We were in New Orleans 25 years ago, my wife and I, and everyone thought that we were from there because we had that sort of slight Cajun lilt to our voice, which was flattering.
It is. That's very cool. Well, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on.
It is an honor to be here.
Well, the
In my
honor
living room
is mine also. We want to also introduce Ben Hassenger. He's been on the show many times. Ben,
I know, and you still have me back. It's amazing.
I know.
Hard up for guests, I guess. I don't know.
You are so welcome all the time, and when I need some backup, I always you're my go-to guy.
All right, I appreciate that.
And also on the show, my right-hand man and the guy who keeps track of everything, keeps us going on the rails and off the rails, Mr. Doug Brown.
Well, I do what I can. Oh, I have a commuter shout out too, and let me make sure I get this right, to Dave Brown out in Los Angeles, California, who listens to us.
Twin brother?
Yeah, my twin brother.
Sorry, I spelled that one for you. You shouldn't have told me last weekend. I was like, oh, okay. I'm sorry.
He came out probably 3 years ago now, and came to a Denver Ute community meeting, and we were playing King of the Road, and he said, Doug, that sounds exactly like the real song. I said, that's what I've been trying to tell you. So he's been playing for 3 years now, and has been listening to the podcast and having a great time. So, hey, nice. Dave, I'll call you later.
Yes. Thank you for having a twin brother, Dave.
He did clone himself.
He did.
How are your harmonies?
Well, hey, we strum really well.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I was gonna ask you. Now that I saw it, so Mike, did you get that tattoo while you're in Fort Collins?
This one, yeah, I got that one in Fort Collins.
Yeah, all right.
The day after Wonderstruck.
Right, because I know there's a tattoo parlor. Was it right next door? I can't remember where it is.
Right across the street. There's like 3 of them, and I went into one, and they were like, "Yeah, we can't take you. Go next door." And the one next door was even nicer. So I was like, "Yeah, this is better."
Oh, very good.
Be right in. Yeah.
Nice.
Was that Tribal Rights Freak Show or Covenant Tattoo that you went to there?
I think it was Tribal Rights. It was
Tribal Rights indeed. Okay.
Oh, Doug, see, you're just showing off, Doug.
And then I went next door to the donut shop. I was shocked to find so many sort of comfort food stores in Fort Collins.
Wait a minute. Which donut shop is this? Is it? Oh, wait, because there's a really cool one where they make these miniature donuts.
Yeah. That was the one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, those.
And
are
I
cool.
had a bacon and maple donut that.
No kidding, nice.
It was a revelation in my life.
Everything goes with bacon. We know. Yeah, you know that.
Delightful.
Would that be the peace, love, and the little donuts of Fort Collins?
That would be the one. That would be the one.
Hey, links to both of those places will be in the show notes.
Okay. Someone's looking for sponsorship or at least free donuts and tattoos.
We've been doing this for so many years and none of them have come to us yet. I don't know what we're doing wrong. Okay, let me get to my page, because this page I've already gone through. We did all of this. Okay, those of you who are just listening at home, I'm just showing the page from my notes, and now we're going to the actual topics. And since it's still fresh in my mind, I thought I'd talk about performing, because that's really a lot of what the Wonderstruck Academy was about. And I was like, first of all, the diversity of people from different places. I mean, I think you probably took the cake, Mike, or the donut, for coming from Bermuda. But there were people from, New Mexico and different parts of the state. I was just shocked. That was wonderful. But so I was just wanted to talk about some of the takeaways that we had, and then discuss them with you guys about the takeaways and what your thoughts are. I hope this isn't. I don't think this is gonna take away from the experience. So I would encourage all of you, if they ever have another Wonderstruck, which I really hope they do, because this one to me was a huge success, that you go if you can and attend one of these. They are fantastic. I think the experience, more than this information that we're sharing, is really what it's all about. But so Mike, what are some of your takeaways from the Wonderstruck?
I really enjoyed myself. I went for the songwriting aspect of it, which was the main reason I was going. But I loved every second of watching it, because I've been doing a performance workshop at various workshops, various festivals for a couple of years now, and it was really nice to see that sort of the stuff that I was saying in my workshops were sort of being said by people that I respect and admire. I'm a fan of both acts, both Danielle and Victor and Penny as acts, and it was like hearing them say things that I was like, oh yeah, I said that. That's kind of awesome. Okay, good. It made me feel better about what I was doing as someone from the other side of it, as someone that does workshops and gives workshops. That I was sort of on the right page, and I learned some stuff as well that I'm going to blatantly steal from them and put into my own workshops.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to blatantly use what they
absolutely,
because I think one of the best things that came out of it for me was the 3 points they talked about preparation, engagement, and then I forgot my notes, but they had 3 major points about performing.
Was it donuts?
Preparation,
donuts. Something and donuts.
Well, the one thing that I was so like, I kind of stumbled through this, and then when they said it, I like, oh, that is so smart, is that when you get up on stage to perform, is that you prepare yourself, you set up, you can acknowledge the crowd, but don't engage them yet, because when you're trying to perform and engage and you haven't set everything up, like you haven't tuned up, you haven't checked the mic, you haven't whatever, it's really difficult. And I've run into this so many times where I'm trying to tune and talk at the same time. And some people can do it, performers that you can do it. I salute you. That's awesome. I cannot do that. I'm always amazed at the musicians who can stand up there, tune their instrument, and talk and say funny things at the same time. They must have practiced that many times.
Well, you get a lot of the people with multiple tunings. And they have to figure out how to do it, because there's always that little time lag, and it is a trick to be able to tell a little story or make a funny joke while you're doing that.
It is. And if you have that talent, good on you, do it. What they suggested, which I thought was so appropriate for me because I cannot do that, is you don't have to engage with the audience while you're doing that. Just kind of, you can even turn your back so they know, hey, you're doing something, but don't engage. Don't try and talk to them. Just do it, plug in your instrument, tune up your instrument, get your set list, whatever it is. It even though it feels like an eternity for you, for the audience, it really isn't that much, and it's true. Is like, when I watch performers do that, I hardly notice it. I just thought about it later on going, oh yeah, that's right. That's what they do. They strap on the instrument, they get all prepared, and then they start.
Unless it is an eternity. I've seen a couple of acts that have tuned harp ukuleles and 8 strings.
Oh, okay.
The other, and it was like 5 minutes, and everyone's sitting there going, I don't know.
Right there you're gonna have to practice, my friend. If you have a harp ukulele, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to practice that tuning and talking at the same time.
The guys like Aldrin who do the I can talk to you and tune at the same time without a tuner. He does it by ear. That blows me away. That's a talent I will never ever have.
Yeah, the people with perfect pitch. Yeah, that's a talent. And I think I'll have to look this up, but after a certain age, you can get better pitch, but getting perfect pitch is something that you develop at an early age, I think. And
my age that was a long time ago.
that for me too. That train is long past.
Yeah, I can barely tune at the same time. So
tune and tune.
Yeah, when I have to tune on stage, after I've engaged the audience, someone said to me, that's a really funny bit that you do, but I sort of got the tuner on the headstock and I tune it up and I go, it's close enough, like this, and that's a funny bit. I'm like, no, I was serious. It's almost in tune, I guess. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna steal that one.
I remember someone ragging on Jake once because between every song he'll do a quick tune. Yeah. Make sure he's in tune. Someone goes, God, you think he could buy a nice enough ukulele to stay in tune? Which of course he has like the best kamaka anyone ever made. Yeah. And it's like, no, he really wants it to be perfectly in tune.
Yeah,
he cares.
Right.
Well, and some of those strums that he does are so percussive,
right? It puts it out of tune.
Yeah. If you're just tiptoeing through the tulips, you're putting a lot less stress on your instrument than Jake is. So everybody, I'm just telling y'all, just cut Jake a little slack.
Chill out. Speaking of performing, this is a segue here. I did not get to see him up in Estes Park, but I heard that he has a band now, and that's really fantastic. So I would encourage people. From what I hear is when he's with a band, it's just even more fantastic.
Yeah, he'll be in Michigan twice this week. And he'll be in Ann Arbor, I think, Wednesday, and Kalamazoo on Thursday. And last time I saw him, he played with a bass player. Which was awesome. And the give and take between the two, and you could just tell they were just clicked in together, And I'd love to see him with the band too.
I think he added a guitarist and maybe a drummer or percussionist. I don't know.
Cool. Well, he's doing some cool new stuff. So
that new album's really good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool. I've got to get that. What's it called? I don't have that written down. Doug.
Well, you know, it's his newest album. It's not Dragon, because Dragon was the album that he had a long time ago. That one of my favorites that he has. You know, I'm getting ready to say it. You gotta give me a second while I build up tension here.
Dragon.
Wow, really?
Speaking of Dragon, well, I'm gonna have to write that one down. That might be the show.
That's the greatest day is the
greatest day. Okay.
Oh, and can I take just a second to apologize to Danielle Ate the Sandwich and Victor and Penny for all the times that the second they get on stage, I'm like, yay! You guys are awesome!
Why would you apologize for that?
Well, because not realizing that they were trying to get into their Zen preparation mode. Like, I never give anybody any time to get ready for anything. Like, if it's before the show, you know, and they're setting out stuff, I'm right there.
Right,
requesting
you're making it hard for them to ignore the audience, is what you're doing.
Exactly.
You have to come to every one of my shows ever.
There you go.
Well,
when I'm a fan, you'll know it. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, and then you should have been at Wonderstruck, Doug. You could have really done some damage there with people. Like, you know, I was practicing that. I got to, which is the other part I was going to mention, is there was one part where you put your name in the hat, and then you go up and perform, and then they give you feedback, and
like the 2K,
yeah,
lower than that?
Could you cut that, notch that out of the around 2K? Yeah. Not that kind of feedback, but they would give you an feedback, and it was wonderful because they would give you really in a positive way, which is an art to do that. You know, it's the opposite, almost the opposite of American Idol feedback.
It was very professional. I thought, when I say that, I mean it came from a professional place. It was here's how your performance could be better and more professional.
Yeah.
As in, you paid them to tell you that?
Yes, that's exactly. Well, we did, but it was. It was less like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to be a better ukulele player, and it was more like, this is how that could be better on an interaction level. I mean, you killed it. You got up there and killed it, which was amazing.
I was so nervous when I was there, and it was very funny. They're like, so, you know, how was I? So I was really nervous. They go, why? I go, well, because it was you guys. And then Danielle went like this, rah. Okay, so for the listening audience, I just made a face and scary motions, and she did that.
Listening audience, it wasn't that scary. It was.
It was
practicing for Halloween.
Yeah. So that was a highlight for me, and the feedback they gave was so right on, and then they go, well, why don't you try that out? And then, you know, they let you do a mulligan and do a do-over. It's so good. I mean, so that's one of the things that's very popular, I guess, just when they go out, and they do this also at their workshops, but in particular, I think this was such a focused experience. Boy, I would really recommend it for budding performers or anybody. I mean, you know, even if you don't intend to do this professionally, whenever you perform, I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it was like how to step up, how to take that next step, like out of your living room into an open mic kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. If you want, even for doing open mics. So Ben, have you been to one of these at their Victor and Penny's?
I've hosted them both before at various things, and no, I mean, this was the first Wonderstruck. So I had what I had Uktoberfest going on to Interlaken the same weekend. But no, actually Danielle taught for me once up at Interlaken as well as at Mighty Uke Day, and she had already been incorporating those performance. You know, exercises and things in there. And actually, I remember she had a group up at Interlochen that she had them all like practice in front of a mirror and everything, and they had a great time. And Victor and Penny, I think mostly when I've had them, they've done some more technical type workshops. But I was kind of in conversation with them before this, and they're going, "Oh, I wish you could come." And I'm like, "Well, I've got something else going on." But yeah, I'd like to incorporate all of that into something I do one of these days, since they're not too far down the street from me. So
right,
they're all in St. Louis now. So
yep, St. Louis, Missouri, and I think that would be great to
or Kansas City, one of those.
Kansas City, whatever
somewhere down there.
It's confusing.
Yeah. Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas.
Yeah,
you can go either way on that.
The flea-bitten dogs are in St. Louis.
Yep, that's right.
My good friends who I've toured with.
Nice.
Just got to do a shout out to my boys.
All right. One of the things I was going to bring up too, which Mike, I think you were right there, and we were all wonderstruck. Was there this 15-year-old performer?
12.
12? Was
she 12?
Okay, that's even more amazing.
I know.
And this is like one of the gem moments where you go unexpected. And I'll talk about this later. It just was so fun just because it was unexpected. And I spontaneously go, "Wow, is this for real?"
Yeah, I was just sitting there like with my mouth open.
Yeah.
For the listening audience, I made the face of one of the emojis.
Oh, and I wish do you remember her name? Because I think I hope she continues this, because
as soon as you brought it up, I thought of her name, and as soon as you asked me, it went from my head.
Well, let me just explain it. So I didn't, I'd seen her around. She was kind of quiet, and then she came up there on this stage, and she had, you could tell she's a new performer. She was kind of quiet, and certainly, from the practical things that Victor and Penny were teaching, she could certainly incorporate that later on. But then she started singing. She said, "This is an original song." She explained a little bit about the origin of the song. And then from there, I was just blown away, because it was so that the strumming, the performing on the ukulele was so mature. Her voice was incredible. And then just the words and the maturity of the content is like, what? You wrote that?
Yeah. It was, I always say that I think that a song is good when I look at the person and glare at them with anger, because I wish I had written the song myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you talked to her, and I think she said that it's online.
Yes, or it will be.
Or will be. Okay, well, I hope so. I mean, even the arrangement she did, which is just ukulele and her voice, were just spot on. But I was just thinking, man, if you do a little instrumentation with that, wow, that could be a hit. I don't know. It's just one of those moments where it's wonderful when you have them, and you could be there and capture that with your being there and experiencing it. All right. So any other ones that you had? Doesn't have to be like, super wow or anything, but anything else you wanted to mention, Mike?
Well, at Wonderstruck, I can't remember. That was the tolling of the bells.
No, that was a LaCroix can hitting the mic.
Oh. Maybe they'll sponsor you now.
You see? Yeah.
He's come for me. He's come for me. The Wonderstruck thing, I can't recommend it highly enough. If you want to sort of upgrade your product, which is a blatant plug for one of my workshops, but they very much did teach that. It taught you. I can't remember the gentleman's name. The first guy that went up. He did Walking in Memphis at the.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's from Fort Collins.
He's from Fort Collins.
Yes, and oh,
super nice guy, and he did a song, and it was good, but it was, I mean, I don't think he would be offended if I described it as amateurish at first. The first time he went round, and their critique was basically they sort of went, you want to try it up a step, and they stuck a capo on it, and he just played it again a step higher, and it was a completely different song.
Yes,
his whole personality changed, his whole his physicality changed, everything changed with it. And Jeff was in the back next to me, and well, between you and I, standing between the two of us. And he looked at me, and the two of us were just like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, like, isn't that amazing? Like, just one simple thing.
Yeah, and like, as you know, someone who's done a workshop like that, for something to work that perfectly and for it to be that much better, it's just like, yes, yes, I'm good at my job.
Well, you know, choosing the key for singing too is kind of interesting.
Absolutely.
I think we all get in our comfort zone, and like, you know, I have a little bit lower voice often, and you know, it's like, oh, this is easy for me to sing there. But I just wrote a new song called Never Again, kind of based on all these school shootings and things. And what I did is I did kick it up about a whole step from where my usual comfort zone would be. And it kind of gave it that little more tension to it, you know, which the song subject has more of that in it. And someone said, well, that really works with that song. You know, you're kind of straining just a little, but it gave that extra oomph to that song. So giving yourself a little bit more work to do, you know. You're singing a nice mellow song, you want to keep it in your sort of speaking range kind of thing, and maybe go up a little bit. But when you're trying to work, you want to try to do it. I'm writing a lot right now, and I'm having real troubles with the keys and stuff, finding different keys and the different feels of, like, I like playing with, you know, major sevenths and sevenths and augmented chords and stuff like that, and finding that feel. I play with baritone sometimes when I'm writing, just to find a different feel with the same chords, which is kind of fun and interesting. And the other thing is talk to your friends, you know, really talk to your friends that are into this stuff, and sort of bounce ideas off them. It's so important.
It is.
It's so different too than when you're sitting down, you know, in your living room and writing a song, and then when you're performing it too. Because you may be sitting down and going, oh yeah, this is perfect. And then when you get up there and play it, and maybe it's a little too comfortable for you and doesn't quite have that energy. And then the easy thing to do at first is just get the capo and go, okay, this works right here. Or like you said, Mike, what I like, the baritone's like the instant key transposer, you know. So you just grab that, you play the same darn thing. It's like, okay, this works better, you know, or maybe it doesn't work at all. But
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just that one simple thing, I bet you he's going to, and I can't remember his name was. I know him. I can see him. It's not Gary. It's anyway, just that one simple technique is he can use that, because what I believe happened was he was playing that song in that key because it was easier to play in that key, I believe. And then they just said, well, let's try this capo. And so you can play the same chord shapes, but all of a sudden it's in a different key. And didn't he then do that at the open mic section of it? Because then he killed it the second time he played it, you know?
He did.
It seemed like go ahead.
Yeah, he did. I remember he did Walking in Memphis at the open mic, and it was absolutely lovely, because that's a weird song to sing, because it comes in on like the 3, and there's weird cadence problems with it and stuff. And he solved the problem by playing it differently. And I remember watching it going, that is brilliant. That is like a brilliant take on this on the song. And what he did with it was a very ukulele thing.
Yeah.
He turned it into a ukulele song.
Because I love that song. You know? And I didn't even notice that was, ukulele. It was just like, oh, this is a brilliant song.
Yeah.
Well, and when I work with like my groups and that, I always tell them, it's not going to sound just like the recording. So why not take it? You got to keep the essence of the song, but make it your own song. Yeah. And I'll do, you probably do the same thing, Mike. I'll do workshops with giving them like different tools in a toolbox that they can pull out.
Absolutely.
And use for whatever, however they want to present the song.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm really lucky because I do a 3-hour set 5 times a week down here in Bermuda.
Wow.
So,
oh my God.
Wow. So I can like just try out so many different things all day, every day. With an audience, some of them are paying attention, some of them not. but yeah, so I'm really lucky with that, which is why I think it's important that, you find a group or you find a group of friends and other musicians and people that are into music that you can bounce ideas off of.
It is. And I think that one advice that he got, he can then, use that and see if it works. If he's having trouble with a song, then he can just capo it and see if changing the key
and pass it on, which I think is important.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with capos either. I teach transposing workshop, and when I start off the capo section, it's like I've seen James Hill use capos. Yeah. So if James Hill can use a capo, any of you can use a capo. And really, you get certain chord. That's why guitarists use them all the time. Because they get certain chord shapes that they like to work with, and the little suspended chords and things. And it's the same with the ukulele. If you got a capo 2nd or maybe even the 4th fret, you can use those. Yeah, I like the little suspended things in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's easier to do in certain keys than others. So
yeah, F major 7th is one of the worst chords I've ever played. And it's not hard. It's just a pain in the butt.
Well, they have some interesting, and speaking of, playing it with a capo, they have an interesting especially when you have a low G ukulele, you can play F major 7 with the top 2 strings at the 5th fret, I believe it is. But then if you want to play that same chord shape, I mean, unless you've got like I forget who it is, Benny Chong or someone who has incredible finger, you know what I'm talking about, where he can just stretch.
What is he doing?
Yeah, I know, and he uses both hands and then somehow strums at the same time. I don't know. Maybe he's using his foot. I don't know how he does it. But if you're not that superhuman, then using a capo, you can still use that chord shape. It sounds cool, and then you can use it in a different key.
Nothing wrong with it at all.
I saw Uncle Benny at the NAMM show 5 years ago, and I was with a friend of mine who's not a ukulele player, and I just stopped and I said, "We have to stop." And he's a drummer, and he was like, "Yeah, this is." Oh no, we have to stop this. And I went up afterwards and they said, "Mr. Chong, I've only been playing for a couple of years, but just watching you has made me a better musician."
Nice.
And he was like, "Wow, that's a really great compliment. Thank you." And my friend said, "I've been a drummer for 35 years and I'm a very, very good drummer. And watching you made me a better musician."
Wow.
which is kind of awesome. Yeah. Benny's, he's
something else.
Yeah,
nice.
So, you can't even explain. You can't even like relate to what he's doing hardly, because it's like, what is he playing? What is he playing?
Yeah.
I saw him last year at NAMM, or this past year with Jennifer Lightham, the bass player.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, those two were going just playing off one another. It was just any musician should be able to watch that and just go, "This is amazing,"
Yeah.
And get like your drummer guy, until he saw it, he's going, "Oh, ukulele, yeah, whatever." So many people get this thing, "Oh, I don't like ukulele music," and it's like, there's no such thing as ukulele music. It's just music. It's an instrument,
Yeah, I think that the stereotype of what's an ukulele song is what trips people up.
Yeah.
Hey, Doug, what do you got on your screen here?
Oh, well, I
just took it away.
I was going to give up, but for everybody that is watching, this is that F major seventh. I think that's the F major seventh.
Oh my God,
that's exactly the one. I hate it.
No, there's that one, but there's a simpler one, but still you can't play it up the neck because it's the top two strings at the 5th fret, I believe.
Yeah.
And then when you fret those, it's a nice, it's easier way of playing F major 7, but then also just like that one, you spread your fingers out if you're trying to play it in like if you want to play F sharp major 7 or G sharp or G major 7, it'd be impossible. Or not for Benny, of course, but for mere mortals. All right. Before we get to the next section here, I wanted to just pause and just say, first of all, thank you for joining us, Mike. What's on your agenda in the near future besides playing 3 or 4 or 5 times a week?
Well, right now my season has just finished. Bermuda is a very seasonal place. We're very tourism. Many people say we invented tourism.
Really? Wow.
But yeah, so we're very seasonal at this point. So my season just finished at the end of September, and then we had a wonderful night called Docktoberfest. I work at a restaurant called the Dock at Waterlot, and we did Docktoberfest, where I wore some very, very tight, very, very thick lederhosen, which was about as comfortable as it sounded. And right now I'm just doing a couple of nights a week here and there at the hotels and just sort of taking it easy and writing a lot. Next month I'm going to be in Florida running around with my friend JT Shea and the Barn Kickers, Steve and Amanda Boyson. Do you know them?
I do not. They sound interesting.
You should check them out. They're amazing. Right. And then we're going to go down to Key West just to hang out for a little while. And then I'm back and working for doing Thanksgiving stuff and settling in for the winter and trying to make some money.
Settling in for the winter. Oh, wow. We're really...
Don't even tell me about winter.
We feel bad about that.
Hey, it gets down to 50. Come on.
Oh, my God.
That's interesting that I think because you're a little bit further north in the latitudes, it does get a little bit cooler. Because in Hawaii, 50 degrees was unheard of. If you got frost on your car, that was like, what happened?
Yeah, we've had snow once here back in 1916 or something.
No kidding.
It was like, I think, 1/4 of an inch of snow.
Wow.
It was gone.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, we've never had that in Hawaii.
No.
Well, very cool. Well, it's great. And you do the ukulele festival. I think we only talked about it before the show.
Yes.
You also have been to the Ukulele Festival of Scotland, or Scotland Ukulele Festival? What's it called?
The Ukulele Festival of Scotland, UFOs.
I like that.
You asked me if there was anything I wanted to sort of plug, and that is the one, because Jim DeVille, who we all know and love, he played there last year with me, and he did his three question interview thing that he does. Yeah. And he said, when I met him at T-Bug, the Tampa Bay Ukulele Getaway, 2013, I think it was. And he said, you were nobody playing at the open mic, and now here you are headlining the best ukulele festival in the world.
Whoa.
And I was like, you're Jim DeVille, and you've been to every festival. He goes, yep, and I stand by what I just said.
No kidding. And the Ukulele Festival of Scotland is fairly new, though, right?
Yeah, it's this year was its 3rd.
Yeah. Okay.
And it is wonderful.
I remember talking with Zoe Bestel, and she was at the time that we spoke, she was just starting on the ukulele circuit, I'll call it. And I don't think they had the Ukulele Festival then of Scotland. And then all of a sudden that came up, and wow.
Yeah, when she did this, I think she had just done the Grand Northern the first year, and everyone just sort of went, I was lucky enough. I've toured with her, I think, 3 times.
Yeah.
In the UK, and she's just amazing. You know, you tour with people, and you know, you after like the 5th night, you sort of go sit in the back and do whatever. But with Zoe, you don't. You sit in the back in the room, go like with your jaw on the floor, going, "How? I don't know how this is happening." She's amazing, and she just did a song on a thing for crabbers. It's a charity CD. Have you heard about it? Called Reowned. I'm doing a plug for them. I don't. It's Reowned. It's a bunch of UK. I think it's 14 different groups from the UK doing songs written by crabbers.
Okay.
So all of his songs, and it is wonderful because I mean he's such an amazing songwriter.
Wow, I didn't know that.
When you've got things like, you know, the Mother Ukers, Dead Man's Uke, Zoe Bestel, the Mersey Bells, Opera Lele, and Tricity Vogue, all doing songs by crabbers with full production. It is
really
amazing, and you can buy it. Right now, I think it's only physical, and all the money goes to cancer research in the UK, which is
excellent.
Yeah, it's a great project.
Now, Crabbers does he also do Unplug the Wood?
Yes, Crabbers is Unplug the Wood.
Yeah, we've had him on the show with the. I got to get him on because he does I think he does a podcast now too. They started it up again. Yeah,
they just put one out about the CD. I think yesterday they put the podcast out.
Okay.
With samples from the CD, and it's joyous. It's wonderful.
Very cool. All right. Well, thanks for getting us up to date here. And I want to jump over to Mr. Ben Hassenger, who's always busy. I tried to get you on the show for the past couple months, but you were so busy with your other stuff. Tell us about it.
Well, I had quite a busy summer, actually. The nonprofit that I run did 10 different library programs across the state where we donate ukuleles for them to put in their library things and check out.
Yeah.
And and then I, kind of kick it off with a couple workshops, or the Ukulele Kings did a few different concerts at some of these. And then, I was in Canada a lot for some different festivals. Actually, Cynthia Kinnanen and I was just at her second Royal City Uke Fest 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And then she came and taught up at Interlaken with me the next weekend. And we try to get her to Michigan quite a bit, just over the border. And but now I'm kind of back in the groove of school programs and senior programs. And then I'm in the middle of we'll announce Midwest Uke Camp in a couple weeks, beginning of November. And we've got a killer lineup, of course, again with Craig Chi, Neil Chin, Cynthia Kinnanen, Kevin Carroll, Sarah Meisel, Eve Goldberg, Katie Denur, who's a great teacher up from Wisconsin, ukulele, Melissa Sy, who's a teacher here in Lansing, Heidi Swedberg, Abe LaGrimace Jr., Daniel Ward, then our harmonica guys, Andy Wilson and Sandy Weltman, and then Remco's going to be in too, Ukulele Zaza. So I've got that going, and Mighty Ukedale, I've got the lineup set up. But I won't announce that till January 1st. So
keep us in suspense. That's great.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, we got to get the camp launched first. So
I hear you. We'll have you back on though before the end of the year, so then you can reveal it. How's that?
Sure.
Wow, that's quite a lineup there.
Yeah. That's we had our third. Let's see, camp. That was our third year last year, and each year we had 85 students the first year. 125 the next year, then 180 or so the third year. So
yeah, good trend.
I don't know if we'll go up 50%. I don't know if we can go up 50% again this year, but yeah, it's been a great experience. And
I think there's something about keeping the size for these things at a reasonable level. And what's reasonable? Well, maybe below 300, because I think it's the experience of just the experience of like at Wonderstruck, where I don't know, there was probably less than 20 people there. It was
about 20.
Yeah, was it 20? But the facility was amazing, and just the interaction of the small groups. I really wish I had other things going on, and unfortunately, but but I could just tell, it's like, boy, if it was maybe a day longer and we had I was there the full time, it would have been, I could have done so much more interacting with people. It's fantastic.
You got a nice small group like that. They all get to be family,
Yeah.
And that's really nice. That's kind of like the interlock, and we cap that at 80 people.
Okay,
so,
that's great.
Yeah, there's about 4 classes going on at each time, so it doesn't get too crazy. Of course, some are more popular than others. And at camp, I mean, we've got a lot of people there, but we have a lot of instructors too. So
yeah, you do.
I put together a schedule of over 60 workshops and on like all these different tracks. It's crazy. But so there's like 8 workshops going on at any one time.
Wow.
So none of them get too full, everybody. Because if you get more than 30 people at a workshop, it's kind of like not a workshop anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a lecture.
It is. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And Mr. Doug, let's jump over to you. What's going on?
Well, thanks to Ben from Ukulele Road Trips, I spent the last month watching Community, which the first season is awesome, and everything after that, absolute train wreck. But that first season, you should watch just the first season and then just stop.
But, really?
What's it on?
But we had a train wreck, so I enjoyed the whole thing.
We had a conversation about our favorite colleges, and he mentioned Greendale Community College from Community. And that first season, I laughed so hard. So thank you, Ben, for reminding me of how much I enjoyed that. And
yes.
So that's what I've been doing lately. And we had our Halloween meeting yesterday, or our Spooky Tunes meeting yesterday. And it was one of those things where the first 2 songs were just painful. We did Thriller, which I thought I knew a lot better than I actually did.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Okay.
And then I don't remember what the first song, but the first 2 were whistleblowers. And we've got at the Denver Youth Community, we've got the train whistle that So if you hear that, we just move on to the next song, and it's not any skin off of anybody's nose.
It's like the gong.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That's great. That's a great thing, because we're going to talk about it on the next section of the podcast. But so keep that whistle out.
From then on, man, every single one was a total winner, and we had some songs that people sent in that went super well, and I did my out of my doing one parody song a month project. I did one of my original parodies, and it went over awesome. So
nice.
Yeah, of that year, I have 2 songs out of that year. But
you're channeling Weird Al.
Yeah. Oh, if only I'm channeling Weird Al's younger, less talented brother. That's Weird Al is, if you ever get a chance to, and this goes for anybody, if you ever get a chance to see him live, I've seen, being a production guy, I've seen literally thousands and thousands of concerts, and he does such a great job of entertaining you from the time you get there till the time you leave. He's a wonderful performer.
I've heard that.
It's amazing.
Well, that's one of the things. Go ahead.
Well, I've seen Weird Al, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 times. First concert I went to with my son, of course, and the last couple times I've gotten to know Jim Chemo West, and so he always gets us backstage passes. And the first time we had a backstage pass, we brought my son and his girlfriend and her 7-year-old boy, and he was just like my son. He loves Weird Al so much, he was just like speechless when he finally got to talk to him. But the kid goes up and he goes, "Al, your videos are weird, and you are too." And Weird Al just like cracked up, like that was the funniest thing he's heard in months. So, and then we get back in the car, and the kid goes, "I made Weird Al laugh," and he promptly fell asleep for the drive home. Yeah, Weird Al is amazing. Like that's
great.
Did you see him then on this latest tour?
And boy, expensive ticket. and totally worth it.
That
And
was
Emo
great.
Phillips opened for him in Denver, and I actually saw Emo Phillips open for there's a lady who plays ukulele in California who does like a vintage. Oh, what is her name? But she does kind of like a 1920s review show.
Yes.
And
I know who you mean. She's kind of a big deal. What's
yeah. Oh, and I saw, and I drug my brother to see her.
We are not doing well with names today.
I know.
Yeah.
What was your name?
But yeah. Hey,
Steve
Stimbert. Yeah. But yeah. So everything's going awesome.
All right. All right. Well, hey, I want to. I have been remiss in doing this part of the show, which is to say, hey, all you listeners out there, if you enjoy the show, help us grow, help me keep the lights on, become a patron, and support the show. If you can only make a one-time donation, go to ooktown.com/donate. If you want to become a long-term patron, go to patreon.com/ooktown, OOKTOWN. I've been, because of your support, one of the things that I finally got to do besides getting this mic and getting mics for other people is I've been pushing myself to do things like this live broadcast. And it took a while to do. It was not easy. Doug helped out so much. And we finally got this on the air, and it's been great. I really, being able to interact on YouTube is wonderful. It's oh, look at this, Doug. Are you thinking of Janet Klein? Yeah, I think it is.
Yep, that's exactly who it is.
You even had an interview with her, Doug.
I did, and I talked with her. Oh, and she's just a super nice lady, and I got to interview her, and she was just really, and especially. I am not Stuart is a great interviewer. I'm a great interjecting stuff to derail interviews guy. So just imagine me trying to helm that boat. It was difficult.
I thought you did pretty good. I think she enjoyed it. Anyway, sorry, I was see, you got me off track here, but speaking of which, about Patreon and supporting the OokTown podcast, we've just getting these. I derailed myself, by the way. Just being able to know that I've got supporters, and it really pushes me to do things. I'm next project up is I'm gonna set up some sessions where I'm not sure, but maybe before the show or on a separate day, I'll have patrons. You can come jump on and interact with us on a live broadcast, not live broadcast, but on a Google Hangout. We're not going to broadcast it, but so because I tell you, I've gotten so many great ideas and feedback from people and guests to bring on, and patrons like Mike, and all of a sudden, it's like, hey, well, he's a great guy to bring on the show. That really is a wonderful thing. So if you want to support the show, well, and you can support the show in many ways. Financial is great. Another huge thing is to mention the podcast to other people. If you're at a ukulele club, mention the podcast there. If you have other friends, and I think that the OokTown podcast is more than just ukulele. I mean, the things we talk about seem to me can apply in so many other musician areas and things. Just if you think that people would enjoy it, have them listen to the show, mention ooktown.com/podcast, and we appreciate your support. Now, next up, right? Perfect segue. Speaking of how to segue, and we're going to talk about a flute. Is that a Native American
whistle flute? I bought in Italy, I think.
Okay. Yeah, one of those. What do they call it?
It's like a wooden slide
whistle. Yeah, slide whistle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got nothing interesting.
You got all kinds of stuff back there.
You have beautiful instruments on the wall.
Yeah.
Building a better ukulele club. Speaking of Jim DeVille, he wrote an article in Ukulele Magazine. Does everyone get Ukulele Magazine here? I don't know, Mike, if you get. Absolutely. I forgot. I was going to ask Doug to send the magazine because we have to the guests here. Because I think, Doug, you get the PDF version too, don't you?
Yeah, but I couldn't send it to them because that wouldn't be, that's
be right.
just for
You're
me.
right.
I have it anyway. I've got it.
Everyone get Ukulele Magazine. It's a wonderful one. Woo!
I got the PDF version up right here.
Nice. Well, in there was a great article on building a better ukulele club. And I thought, yeah, that's a good topic. I think there's a lot of interest in ukulele communities. I don't know what it is about ukulele communities, but they're just popping up like mushrooms.
Well, I co-host the Lansing area ukulele group in Lansing, which we founded 10 years ago now, and I share it with another guy. He lives in California during the winter. I don't know why he leaves Michigan in the winter, but he goes to California, and so I run it in the winter, and he runs it in the summer. But we have ours is served like as an incubator because Lansing's right in the middle of the state. For those of you not watching on video, I have my hand up and pointing to the middle of my hand where we live. So 90% of the population of Michigan's within 90% or within 90 miles of Lansing. And so we get people from all over the state that come to Lansing for our meetings, our strums. And then it's like they go home and they start up their own. So in the last 10 years, Michigan has gone from 2 active ukulele groups to over 30, including 4 in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So it's contagious, is what it is.
That's very cool. I like the idea of an incubator. That was not necessarily. I don't recall that being in Ukulele Magazine, but I think that is you just contributed to it. Is that you can be an incubator, not just an ukulele group. So you can take all the advice that was in the magazine, which is great advice, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But also use it as an incubator, and
that's right.
I think the Denver ukulele community in some ways influenced the Boulder ukulele group and the Fort Collins one, and I know there's one in Colorado Springs. And I keep meaning to find out who runs it. Doug, do you know?
I know that Keone used to have a group and a kind of compila that he did monthly, but it's so hard to get. Like the information is kind of difficult to locate, and we've been so busy in the Brown household that sometimes it's and actually reading that article in Ukulele Magazine, it's like, oh, I could do that, or we could just keep on going with what we've got, because it seems like life does get in the way of being.
It does. But what are some of the things you would want to try then, Doug?
Yeah. And actually, a group of the people in the Denver Ute community just started they're currently calling it the Denver Ute Community Outreach, but they're working on getting a new name for themselves. But they're going around to different assisted living communities and playing some music. And they've got 3 different books that they play out of, and have really practiced and really sound very, very good. And I tried to make it some of the rehearsals for that, and so difficult not to flip into the, hey, why don't we go to
right.
But then I realized that I didn't really have time to I don't have time for the stuff that I do.
Right.
So doing stuff that, but they're doing some great work and having some really great impact, and which is one of the things that they talk about in the article there. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. One of the things that in the article that they focus on, like right off the bat, is board of directors and becoming a
nonprofit.
Yeah. Yep. One of the great things that I really like about the Denver Ute community is we have always tried to keep money so far out of it, because I don't want to have to, like, we've done things where we've had shirts and they're like, oh, we could use it as a fundraiser, and it's like, we don't really need any funds. We just need fun. So we're a fundraiser. Right.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. And by the way, this is from Ukulele Magazine, Winter 2018, in case you want to reference that in the future. Yeah, and you know, I think raising money just for raising money is something that you don't need to do. You know, I agree with. So if you are going to raise money, my advice would be to do it for a cause. For example, I just thought that when you mentioned it, Ben, about getting those ukuleles for a library to have them check out like a book. I thought that was, wow, that is a great. And then if you want to do that as a fundraiser at an ukulele gathering, great, you know, but just raising money to raise money. Yeah. You know, not necessary, so to speak. How did you, by the way, Ben, how did you come up with that? Is that, do you have a template or something? Cause I think that's a great idea. Getting ukulele together.
Well, you know, other people have it started out, I don't know where it started. I think one of the first times I read about it was in Chicago, where they did it. And of course, they had Jake come and do the kickoff, you know, the Michigan library. Michigan libraries do that. But no, I just thought that was a great idea. And Mighty Ute Day actually serves as a fundraiser for Music as the Foundation, which is the nonprofit that I run. And so I was looking for other things to do with some of the funds we've been getting in, and the library thing worked out great. The other thing that's been a lot of fun is I work a lot with Lewis and Stephanie at Ohana, and I bring in the ukulele kits. They have the unfinished kits that, you know, you really don't need to assemble too much. You put on the bridge and the nut and you don't even put on the bridge, do you? I can't remember. And you put on the tuning machines and the strings. Well, I worked with a local art studio, and what we've done there is I've brought in the ukuleles, and they have the kids paint them over like a week or a few weeks. And in the meantime, we're teaching them how to play with loaner ukuleles. So by the time they get done, they have their own ukulele that they painted, that they more or less know how to play, which is like about the coolest thing in the whole wide world, I think.
Dang.
So
that's
that's the thing is when you do have a nonprofit that you can use to do programs like this. Believe me, I got a lot of crazy ideas that I like to do. You have to kind of sort them out, like which one can you actually do right now. But that's what Mighty Ute Day has really become, is a source for revenue for the nonprofit. Not the ukulele group so much, but Mighty Ute Day more or less kind of grew out of the group. So I guess it's sort of related that way.
I think that's to me, you know, when you're working for something beyond just your local group, just your self-interest, it really generates a lot more momentum and well, I don't know what you want to call it, but momentum. I mean, good and goodwill. I mean, people. If you do have a cause like that, then people want to contribute. You know, and they may, you know, if you have a ticket price that's a suggested donation, well, they might give more if they know that the cause it's going for is a worthy one and one they support. So well, all good stuff. I love those ideas. So you talk about structure with nonprofit, attracting new members. I think, you know, you touched on some of this, you know, partnering with local communities like the library is a great idea. In fact, they mentioned doing that with libraries also in the magazine article. Social media, I suck at social media. I try and stay on Twitter. You need like a social media director. It's sad. I don't know how you do it. I mean, there's certain people like Danielle who just naturally have a gift for that. And and in fact, I think she's kind of on the side doing some marketing consulting. And oh, that's perfect. She's a great person for that. But any ideas on that? Any of you guys on social media?
On promoting a group?
Or promoting a group, or how to just use social media effectively, because I don't know. I don't think I'm
I think the important part is just having new content and new and interesting content every time. I have a friend who tried to do his social media, and he would put out new content all the time, but it was always the same kind of thing. And my whole thing was, do something different, do a different style of things. I mean, where Danielle and Julia Nunes and like CISO back in the day, where they hit was they were doing interesting covers of songs. Danielle with she did A Dream a Little Dream. She did Rich Girl, and just doing interesting things. But I think it's important to just keep having stuff out there for people to look at. I
think good content is definitely the way to do it, and it's so hard you got to really focus and set aside time.
Yeah. Well, and it's different too if you're promoting like an ukulele group or you're promoting yourself as a performer. Like one of the things we like to do with our ukulele group, and we don't do it every time, and we don't do it in the summer when the other person runs it, but and Pete McCarthy does this a lot, is broadcast the Strum live and give people a link where they can get the music, and then they can play along with you.
That's wonderful.
Especially in Michigan, like in December and January and February, I always make a point to do that in case we have a blizzard that morning.
Yeah, nice.
But it's like, okay, stay home, be safe, and you can still play along with us. And then
there you go.
Just make sure you don't have the camera like upside down or something. But
I was actually thinking about doing that, but my concern was that it would keep people from
coming
because they didn't necessarily.
Well, what I've found, Doug, is that people would rather be with the group because there's an energy, being with the group of people rather than just sitting at home in your underwear, and playing along. So, I mean, there might be something to be said for that, but
sending it home in your underwear.
Well, at least in your pajamas.
I know nothing about that.
But
I'm not wearing pants. So.
Well, I was going to say none of us have pants on right now, right? So, but so I haven't found it takes away from people coming. If anything, it gets people going, well, that sounds like cool. Maybe next month I'll go. So, and like I said, in the winter, I mean, you'd be amazed how many people drive an hour like in the blizzard to come to a Strum. But a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing that. And I sure don't blame them. So it's like, hey, you can still enjoy it. Come next month, when it's a balmy, 38 degrees or something.
Right.
But I had in February of last year, I think, we had to cancel our meeting. And it was actually, I hadn't realized this, but in the 12 years that I've been running it, that's the one meeting we canceled. And I had somebody write me back and say, well, hey, let's man up. And, and I said, dude, I was at work. So I would have made it if there would have been a venue for us to go to. But, but my dad has a great saying that you should never let the weather keep you from doing something you want to do, and always use it as an excuse to get out of something.
Perfect. I've used that a few times.
Yeah, that's great. It does cut both ways. Well, it's I think consistency is good, but caution sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be
better
smart
part. Yeah,
sometimes too. But we've never had to. We've only canceled one meeting, and it was because that week someone in our ukulele community died tragically, and they had the funeral that day. So we've gotten through the weather and whatever else. So
wow, if boy, that's a really good excuse. Okay, so I'm gonna have to keep that one. Wow, that was a real. Oh my gosh, that is
It was sad, but it was, you know.
Yeah. Let's see. So,
way to bring it up there. You know,
yeah, you know, I'm just getting the light side here. Everybody says the ukulele's so happy, you know.
Oh, it's all over the. You can do anything. I'm gonna do synth pop ukulele.
Cool.
On my next album.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So structure meetings. I think this one of the great things. I think when you first start out, if you have some type of structure, that's always good. It always, you know, it starts out. The Plymouth Ukulele Group. I'm not really trying to steer it too much, but the person who is leading it, she's picking this up. I think she listens to this podcast. So Maureen, definitely, I guess I'll have to lend her this magazine article. But you know, just having structure on this part we're gonna do for beginners, which she did great, and then the sing along and in this group in particular, it was nice because we had a concert, quote unquote, or performance coming up. So that really motivates people to practice.
Well, we do, you know, as far as structure goes, I kind of believe a little bit in the benevolent dictator model, you know, is that someone's got to take charge. I mean, I've been to quite a few that just like, and it's fine. But for me, you know, that where people just bring in a song and, well, then they don't really know the song. And then they go, well, let's play it. So I take suggestions, like I'll have a theme for the month, and then I'll take suggestions, and then I'll go through them and start picking out which ones you can actually do, you know, that makes sense. And then we'll have like 20 songs that we'll play, and I put them in an order and then put that in a single PDF. And I start them out kind of easy and build them up so they get, you know, a little bit harder. So we have something for everybody. And then usually at the end, try to end up with something, you know, not too difficult. So everybody leaves feeling pretty good about it.
Right.
So
I had a meeting where I figured out, I had everybody send in the songs, and, you know, I went 2-chord songs, 3-chord songs, 4 chords. And by the end of the meeting, nobody could play anything. It was a train.
That, you know, that's when you know you had a good meeting. Is that the signal you went off the rails?
I wonder why did that happen, Doug?
Oh, well, one thing was that it was 12 years ago, so I was maybe not the leader that I am now.
Right, sure.
And I think just overall our entire group didn't have the skill level to kind of play some of the songs that people were suggesting, and it was a barn burner. It was really like the beginning of the meeting was awesome, and then it just got worse and worse and worse, and finally it's just like, well, let's play Old MacDonald before we leave. How about that?
Well, that's what you learn by doing it. You know, I mean, that's the thing with the uke group is, I think, and it takes a while to become a good uke group leader. Some people can jump right into it, but other people, you know, you gotta do it. You gotta make the mistakes. It's the only way you learn, and it really helps. You need a leader that knows the songs, that gets up there, knows the songs, and can lead them, and has enough personality to lead them without, you know, taking over the whole thing. So
yeah,
it's a fine line.
It is good to have people lead the songs.
Yeah.
I'm curious because we have this phenomenon in Hawaii where you don't really have ukulele groups in Hawaii. Mike, what's it like in Bermuda?
We have no ukulele groups in Bermuda. It is basically me, my landlady, and there's a couple of other folks that are doing it. There's a couple of good friends of mine that have just started playing that are like, oh, can we get together and put a ukulele group together? I'm going, yeah, we can do that. The problem is I suck at leading groups like that and I think it's because I play so much so often that I get bored of doing it normal. So
I hear you.
So I'm constantly, you know, doing weird tempo things and weird.
We should throw people off. I hear you. I have to really you have to tone it down, because when I lead the group, I definitely, you throw it out. It's like, hey, don't worry about this strum. Just do the
right. Exactly. Well, and you have to sing it in like a kind of often straight on the beat, right? Right. Whereas if you're performing it, you'd be syncopating that. And I know what you mean. It's
we always joke around. I get a request for Wagon Wheel probably every 2 nights. I get a request for it. And one year at the Tampa Bay Ukulele Getaway, after about 7, we started counting. And in 2.5 days, we heard it 87 times.
Wow. Okay.
And
Doug, do you have Wagon Wheel on your rotation?
It comes up pretty often. But, it's the new Stairway to Heaven.
Right.
Yeah. The worst part about it, though, was that we left Tampa and went down to Key West, and literally every bar and every busker on the street was playing Wagon Wheel. And at one point we were walking down Duval and it synced up. They were all playing it in G.
Wow.
And it almost perfectly synced. So we listened to the whole song, but the voices changed.
Wow.
We walked by the bar. And my wife will now, if I have to play it at a gig, my wife now will just leave the room. I did a workshop in Cardiff in Wales, and I'd said, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we want to do a performance workshop. It's going to be great." And I said, "How many people want to take that next step to go and play at a open mic?" And no one put their hands up. And I said, "Oh well, how many people just want to sort of maybe lead in the group or whatever?" No one put their hands up. And I was like, "Does anyone want to be a performer?" Not a hand. And I said, "How many people want to sit here on Monday nights and play Valerie?" And all of their
nice
went up. So and my wife is at the back with my merch, and I said, "Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to teach you guys some dynamics. I'm going to teach you how to play loud and soft and stuff like that, because that I find is something that, and they went over it at Wonderstruck, is dynamics as a group is so important, because if not, it's just clang, 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 clang over and over again. So I said, we're going to do dynamics, and I'm going to teach you how to chunk." And so for an hour I did that, and afterwards they were like, people were embracing these things. Thank you. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I can actually do a ukulele group. Like, I could never run it. So what I'm hoping is that I can sort of bring up someone and get them good enough, someone that would be much better at it than me, to run a ukulele group down here.
Right. Yeah, great idea. No, you don't have to be the guy. I was just curious about that.
I will be the incubator.
Exactly. And and by the way, I did want to point out that it's not that we don't totally have, there are no ukulele groups in Hawaii, because a good friend of ours, Andy Andrews, runs one, and I'm sure there's others like that. But it's interesting because those are mainly focused in on kama'aina who have come to the Hawaii from the mainland, and they cater more to those people because I think the Hawaii music community in general is like, hey, we have these kanikapilas. So that's what our ukulele group is, which kanikapila in Hawaii means, you come over for a backyard jam and everyone brings their instruments and plays, and, your auntie does the hula, and whoever wants to come up and play does that. So that's what it is in Hawaii. And that's what the jams have been. And I think just the idea of a regular ukulele community or group is kind of foreign to most of the Hawaiians there.
Yeah, that's a lot what UWC is down over in Indiana. Is there's a lot of just sort of, hey, I know this song, let's do this one, and everyone just shouts out. They shout out the chords for the first progression, and then everyone just sort of jams along and plays along, and I want to go to there. It's like my favorite thing in the world to do.
It is, but that takes years and years of jamming and practice. I don't know, practice, but so all right. Well, any other closing thoughts before we go on to the last and final section here?
Go for it.
All right. Okay, well, this is the part where we kind of go into some interesting topics where it's not necessarily totally ukulele. And this one I'm titling FOMO and Lost and Found. So there's this thing called fear of missing out. And it's a real thing. Some marketing guy actually did a study on it. And of course, that's what a lot of marketers do, is that they say, you got to get this because you're going to be missing out if you don't. And it works. Unfortunately, works on me. I'm sure it works on millions of Americans. And I think sometimes when we do that, or at least for me, the idea is, always that one other thing. Like, gosh, I'm just going to do that. I love this, but then, I think it'd be just wonderful if I got that new ukulele or that new gadget or that new thing. And I just need to settle down and work on the stuff I already have, because I got lots of stuff. I mean, really.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, that's basically what all the Facebook games and everything are, is fear of missing out. And I just want that one other thing. Oh, if I just, spend $20, I can spend $20 and get, something cool in the game.
Yeah. And I think
it's that pressure.
Right. And I think, for ukulele players, to bring it back to ukulele playing and how that can help us is really try and focus more on enjoying what we have right in front of us, and not worry about, well, if I could only play that strum, or if I could only learn that song, or if I could only, it's like, hey, start where you are and enjoy that as much as you can. Yeah. I'm just, practicing. One of the things I saw recently that I sent out a link to was this, I don't know, 8-year-old Japanese girl who's playing a cover of Led Zeppelin, basically, John Bonham, who's an amazing drummer, and it's Good Times, Bad Times. She was playing that, and it's amazing because what the best part is, not only that she's, an incredible musician prodigy playing one of the most difficult types of drumming you can, because John Bonham was such an amazing drummer, but not only that, is his rhythm was so loose, but yet he kept it right on. You know what I mean? If you're a musician, you listen to John Bonham, you go, okay, I know. It's like he's almost out of control, and yet he's right on, and he comes back on the beat, and it's just incredible. Anyway, this girl is just, you watch her playing and just the joy on her face, especially you got to watch it to the very end. She does this little solo at the very end, which is incredible. And that's when she was actually playing along, because if you listen closely and watch closely, she actually, I don't know what it's called in drumming, but you hit the sticks accidentally as they're crossing. What is that called? Anyway, but that's a mistake, but they do that every once in a while, and she just does that. She's actually playing it, and oh my goodness, her bass drum foot is just going crazy. But then she just laughs at the end, and throughout the song, she's just having a great time.
Pure joy. And go ahead.
That's what it should be about. One of the best compliments I get is when I, after a show, is people say, "You just look like you're having so much fun up there," and it's like, oh, "Thank you, you get me." Like I don't want to hear, you're great, your voice is great. I just want to hear you're having fun. It's
right.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. And so I think that's one of the things that we can work on with FOMO. Anyway, and Ben, your thoughts too, Ben. Jump in.
Well, we played a gig last night, and I actually really did have fun. I mean, my girlfriend said afterwards, she goes, "You guys were just having fun tonight." And we played really well. And the two of them actually, went together. But Mike, any of you that perform, sometimes when I'm performing, I have trouble losing myself in the song because I'm like so focused on all the external things that are going on. Like I'll look over and go, are they actually enjoying this song? Or this is going on, or I'm thinking about the next song we're going to play. And, which gets in the way of losing yourself in that song.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know, Mike, if you've got any ideas about that, but it kind of throws you off a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And Jeff and Aaron hit on this about preparation. And I think that is a big part of it is, I mean, to be honest, half of my show is, I don't know, what do you guys want to do? Yeah, literally, it's 2 hours. It's an hour of
right.
And then it's a bunch of requests. But when I say that, people people throw requests at me, and 9 times out of 10 it becomes sort of stump the band because people are inherently evil. And what's great about it is I have a very, very eclectic set list. Everything from Biz Markie to Beyonce to 5'2" Eyes of Blue, and everything in between, because of people trying to be evil to me. But I think where, as Aaron and Jeff said, the preparation thing comes in is if you prepare yourself for anything, you can do anything.
Right.
So let yourself go. The other thing to remember is what feels like an eternity on stage is only a couple of seconds in real life. So if you take a couple of seconds to go, okay, what are we going to play now? Mm-hmm. No one cares. So throw that out of your head. Throw all of that stuff out of your head. One of the hardest things that I have as a performer is I used to do a podcast actually inspired by you guys. I did my own podcast. It was called My Best Advice. And we just talked about what people's best advice is. And my best advice was a guy told me that he wanted to buy a pair of basketball shoes. And his father said, why are they going to make you a better player? And he says, no, it's just that the kids are laughing at me. And he said, that man hit me. And he said, what other people think is none of your damn business. Mm. And that it really stuck with me. And that is something that I struggle with. And that's something that I always try to keep in mind, is that what other people think of me is none of my damn business. However, when you are a performer, that can't apply. But it kind of has to. So
right.
you
got to be comfortable in your own,
exactly.
Your own skin.
So you have to figure out how to apply that. So,
right.
Go ahead.
Well, if you're comfortable with what you're doing and you're enjoying it and you're getting the point across you mean to get across, you're trying to get across, whatever it is you're trying to get across, I think the people will relate to that. They'll pick up on that, and then you've got them,
Yeah. And for does that person like me? Does that person like me? 9 times out of 10, if someone's not having a good time, it's their problem. It's not something you're doing. So, you just got to put that out of your head. For me, that when you get lost in a song, my favorite moment on stage is when I get sort of 2/3 of the way through a song or whatever, and I go, wait, what verse am I on? Right. Did I do this?
Yeah.
I don't. That's my favorite moment, because it's just like I've been. Because
my worst moment.
Oh no, because that means that you're totally into the song, and you just go, well, I don't know if I've done it yet or not, but I'm just going to do it again. And
cool.
Yeah, this verse was so good. I did it twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of Hawaiians
really notice it.
Most Hawaiian, at least the the older style Hawaiian songs, they always repeat the verse. So
Yeah.
I always get confused. Like, did I already repeat that verse, or do I need to do that again? Anyway,
I say just keep repeating it until you
people go, yeah.
I don't know. Just speaking of that, the way that I met Jim DeVille was I was closing the open mic at the Tampa Bay Ukulele Getaway, and he had just arrived, like literally walked in the door. And it was coming up to the end, and I think they told me to do like a 40-minute set. So I think I was at around 40, 45. And I went, is Steve around? When am I done? And no one knew where Steve was. And everyone's like, yeah, just keep going. And I went, you know what? I'm going to keep going until someone tells me to get off the stage. At that moment, Jim DeVille walked into the room, like literally 30 seconds before he had walked into the hotel. And then he walks into the room, hears me say that, and just yells out, get off the damn stage.
That sounds like Jim.
Yeah, and I said, you and I are going to be friends for the rest of our lives. And we have been.
Wow, what an introduction. Okay.
But to tie it in, the reason that I didn't know where I was because I was having such a good time. I had no idea if I had done 15 minutes or half an hour.
Right. Yeah. And so that is, when you getting in the flow of something is so good. And it does help to clear your mind of FOMO. Because if you can focus in and be in the flow of just what you're doing with what you have, it can be an awesome thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well,
yeah,
cool.
Be the other place to be. I wrote this down the other day. Like when people are sitting somewhere and they don't want to be there, they go, "Oh, I got somewhere else to be."
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? That's what I'm going to start being. I'm going to start like thinking of that. I want to be the other place that people want to be.
Yeah, make it what you need it to be at that moment. Maybe that's
make yourself the thing that people would be missing out on.
Yeah. Wow, cool. Doug, I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to bring up.
Ditto.
Well done.
Well, I like to be relevant.
Cool. I was kind of what another topic I was going to bring up that's been on my mind is that kind of that whole creative process, which has been stalled a little bit for me, is that I've been doing these things, which is totally not ukulele. And it's a maker project. So, by the way, thanks to Doug for inviting me to the Maker Fair in Denver. But this is the back of it, so it's kind of ugly.
For those of you listening.
Oh, yeah, and thank you. For those of you listening, I'm showing a circuit board on to rough up prototype. And the front of it looks really neat with all these.
Very attractive.
Components. Very attractive. And you turn it around in the back, and it's just,
oh, God, no.
It's just a tangle. But it actually works. And that's the coolest thing is when you do these things and you put it together and you make it work, that is the best. I was like, yay, it actually worked. It's listening to me. It's doing what I wanted. But it's really interesting because it's helping me get back into the flow of things. Because then I started thinking of making all these things, and I started thinking of making a synthesizer. And then I found out, well, if you could make the synthesizer, but it's actually cheaper to buy this one from Behringer. But that was okay because now it brought me full back to that creative process of going, hey, it's really just about creating and making, and to be happy with that. And so now I'm inspired. So that really helped out. And I guess for you guys, for your creative process, what do you do to renew? And this has been what I've been doing is making these things, which has nothing, totally doesn't have anything to do really with music. But it's brought me back around to music. So what is your maybe go-to? And it could be related to music, but if it's not, that's also great. I'm getting the big
Sorry, what's the question?
What is
I like just taking a handful of those magnet letter word things that you get and just throwing them at the refrigerator, and then yeah, and then my message will come to me that way.
It does. Do you have to do that? Because I think that's a great idea for your creative process. When you want to, because I think I've never tried that, but now I'm inspired to try and do that. It's like, make a word. All right. So anyway, maybe that was just a.
Yeah.
I think that's a whole nother topic for a show. No, okay. We're not feeling very creative right now. I guess
that's okay. I'm gonna. I think that's a good sign to say, Stuart, get to the last topic and go out. All right. I did want to give a special shout out to Greg Allwell at Ukulele Magazine, because on the back page of the latest magazine, which was the one we're talking about, Winter 2018 Ukulele Magazine, they talk about a very cool thing, and it's very much close to my heart. But they talk about the 442nd Infantry Unit, and they have pictures. Those of you who can't see this, but online on YouTube, I'm showing a picture of these Japanese American soldiers during World War II playing the ukulele, and down at the bottom there too, they show this great picture of they had one of the Japanese American 442nd guys dancing the hula and playing lap steel, just so like that is cool down home music. But what he brings up, which I really appreciated, was that the 442nd was only created because those Japanese Americans wanted to show that they were patriotic, and the government interned them and said that you can't join the army, but they petitioned and they did it. And my uncle was in the 442nd, so
wow,
it was,
very cool.
Very cool that he did that and he was able to do that. And my other uncle was actually in the Pacific Theater as a translator. So he was kind of with the intelligence over in the Pacific Theater. They didn't let them fight in the Pacific Theater because they thought, they're going to turn against us. Right. But in Europe, they did. That's where the 442nd fought, one of the most decorated, or the most decorated infantry unit in World War II.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's great. Want to say shout out to Ukulele Magazine and Greg Allwell in particular. Thanks for doing that. I really appreciate it.
It's a nice story. I'm just looking at it right now.
Yeah. All right.
Kamaka helped make the ukuleles for him. So
is that right? Cool.
Yeah, that's what it says.
I didn't know that. Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, I want to wrap this up. That was my last thing. Anything else you want to promote, bring up, talk about as we bring this show to the end, because we've been on for quite a while.
Yeah.
So
well, for my end, stay on. Keep your eye out for Midwest Youth Camp for a big announcement. We'll be selling tickets and stuff at hopefully November 1st, if not soon after.
Okay, so you don't want me to spill the news that I'm headlining at that show there, Ben? Is that it?
No, we wanted to sell tickets.
Oh,
yeah. Well, last time I'm on the show. Okay.
Mike, it's great to have you on.
It's wonderful to be on. Thank you so much. It's been a dream of mine, and you just made a dream come true. So thank you.
Oh, so great. I'd love to come to Bermuda. Hopefully your things continue to go well there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, just amazing. All right, great. Doug.
We have our food meeting coming up, the punniest meeting of the year.
So I'm gonna go to that one.
And it's actually being held at Moe's Barbecue. So not only do you get to come and play some great ukulele, but you get to eat some great banana barbecue.
Barbecue.
Not just banana pudding, but barbecue as well.
I've been there, and on the advice of Doug, you could order 2 sides, and you were allowed to have both of them banana pudding. So that's what I did.
You indeed can do that. So.
Yeah, it is delicious, both the banana pudding and the barbecue. So Moe's rocks on there. Cool. It's been a great show. Appreciate you guys being on there, and as always, Oh, wait, subscribe to the podcast. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Music. I don't know we're on Spotify yet, but we supposedly are. I don't know. Someone who's on Spotify, tell me. And definitely support us by spreading the word about the ukulele, about the OokTown podcast in particular. All you podcasters out there that are doing ukulele, thank you. I'm so glad that more and more people are doing ukulele podcasts. But become a patron, patreon.com/OokTown, OOKTOWN. Thank you so much for all the listeners and patrons out there. And as always, are you guys ready? We always say aloha on 3 at the end. Everyone down with that?
Ready.
Okay, ready. All right. 1, 2, 3. Aloha.
Cool. Hey, it was great talking to you guys, and I will see you all later.
Yeah.